Hey guys, and welcome to the Band Rants channel, your home for NFL projections, predictions, and of course, your periodic rant. And today we're going to do the Tennessee Titans early schedule prediction. Now, I've been getting a lot of requests to do this one because of the Julio Jones trade, and it's going to have a little bit of an impact on this schedule. And you might see a couple of changes because I did some schedules where the Titans played certain teams, and there might be a couple of conflicts and things might change, but this is up to date based on the recent move of Julio Jones coming over, so I'm going to go ahead and project where they end up. And we're going to talk about the Julio Jones trade and how that will help with the team. But before we do, please make sure to leave a like on the video, hit the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and we're going to go ahead and get started here. So looking at week one against the Cardinals, I've said from day one this game is going to be a really good game, and in my opinion, it could even be a Sunday night game, because both teams have had really interesting off seasons. The Titans really made a big move by getting Julio Jones, and of course all the money moves the Cardinals made. I'm going to keep this as a Cardinals win, but this is not going to be an easy win to come by, and it's going to be a shootout in Nashville. I can see both teams putting up like 30 points of total offense each, at least 30 points, possibly even more. This could be a primetime-esque game. At the Seahawks, this one could probably actually end up being a win. This is a tricky stadium to play in. This Seattle CenturyLink Field, very difficult place to play, but I could actually see Tennessee pulling it off. And at home against the Colts, I think they'll win this one too. I think Tennessee is going to start to sort of come back off that loss from Arizona, and I can't see them dropping their first two home games. I can see them winning one of the two. At the Jets, this one's a no-brainer. This is going to be a win. I am curious to see what Zach Wilson will do, but, I mean, it's Tennessee. They're in a much better place than the Jets. That's a no-brainer. At Jacksonville. Now, the Titans have actually statistically owned Jacksonville a lot these last little while, and I don't expect this year to be a season sweep by either team. I think Trevor Lawrence early on is probably going to have all the ways and means to pull off an upset early, and I think he will. Now, at home against the Bills and at home against the Chiefs, this one's going to be really, really interesting, because both of these teams can give the Titans a big challenge and vice versa. I mean, I think the Titans have all the odds, ends, and means to be a contender in the AFC. I think Julio Jones might have made up for the fact that Arthur Smith is gone. I did expect the offense to regress a little bit, but now probably not nearly as much as would be without Julio Jones. Against the Bills on a Monday night, I'm actually going to give the Titans a win here. I think Tennessee, especially with the extra day of rest, being at home, not having to travel as far, I mean, it's not obviously close, Tennessee to Florida, but it could be a lot worse. You could be traveling all the way from Seattle to Tennessee. That'd be a little bit worse. But then you stay at home against the Chiefs, and I do think the Titans could pull this one off. But for right now, I'm going to say the Chiefs pull off the win. Now, at Indy, they're probably going to lose this one because I think a series split between the Colts is reasonable. At the Rams, that's probably also going to be a loss, and this is where the Titans hit a little bit of a skid. They're 4-5, and people start to wonder off the 3-game losing streak. Oh, maybe Tennessee is not going to, do as well. Colts could win the division, but then things start to turn around a little bit. At home against the Saints, they'll win. If Breeze was still in New Orleans, this would be much more interesting, but I think it's not going to have that appeal it would have had last year. At home against the Texans, I usually give teams coming off the bye every benefit of the doubt, but it's the Texans, and Deshaun Watson is not even going to be playing. And if he does play, my pick is he goes to Denver, which I'm going to cover in a later video. But Tennessee's going to get the win here. At New England, another really tricky road game that I do think the Titans actually win. They lose in Indianapolis, and Jacksonville is more of an upset loss than a skill loss. But at home against the Jags off the bye, they're going to win that one. At Pittsburgh, they're probably going to, honestly, this could go either way. This one's really tough to call because I do think Pittsburgh is a team that's steady. I wouldn't say they're amazing, but they do have a lot of good pieces, as does Tennessee. This one honestly could get flexed to a Sunday night game depending on where both of these teams are at that point. For now, I'm going to say the Steelers end up snapping the 4-game winning streak, of Tennessee. But honestly, after that, I see the Titans running the table. They're going to beat San Francisco. They're going to beat the Dolphins because they'll stay at home and they'll get an extra 9 days of rest. And then they get an extra day of rest going into that next game, which I don't know why it's saying Saturday, January 2nd. It's not. But at Houston, they're going to get the sweep. They're going to go 11-6, and that's how I think Tennessee is going to do. Now, there's a couple of games they could flip. They could flip that Steelers game. They could also flip that Cardinals game. But I think a 7-2 home record, that's really not unreasonable considering the losses I gave them. And a 4-4 record on the road, that also could change. You could see them potentially split the series the opposite way. They could beat the Colts in Indy, lose at home. But I also couldn't see them losing 2 home games in a row. But with that being said, this is my Titans prediction schedule, 11-6. More or less, they could still win the division with that. They could still get a playoff berth with that. And if you guys enjoyed this, I'll see you in the next one.